Thank you for watching Scary Animal Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we release new episodes. Thank you for watching Scary Animal Attacks. Today's episode takes us to the frozen woods of southwest Finland. This nation has a very low population and consists of flat forested plains covered by pine and fir trees. In fact, 70% of Finland is forest to this day. Finland also has 187,888 lakes. The wildlife in the area include brown bear, elk or moose, wolverine, lynx, and reindeer in the north, and wolves. The subarctic climate of Finland makes living tough, and today there are only 5.5 million Finns, but at the time of our topic, there were only 2 million Finns in the 1880s. At that time, the economy was an agrarian economy, which means most people raised their own food on family farms. In this setting, we understand our episode today. In the nation of Finland between 1710 and 1881, there were up to 265 attacks on children. Wolves in Finland were learning to hunt vulnerable humans in times they couldn't find game easily. In the year 1880 is when the statistics began to change for the worse. There were 22 reported deaths at the teeth of wolves that year, and the attacks were all centered around the woods north of a town called Torku. The first incident involved two young brothers who were enjoying themselves in the sauna on January 15th of 1880. From their family farm near Vellua, the brothers witnessed a lone wolf emerge from the woods nearby and cross their potato field. The wolf then hops the fence and attacks the 8-year-old brother, Kalle. It drags the one brother off into the woods as the other brother runs to get his parents. The boy's mother summoned a rescue party and they followed the blood trail in the snow. About 500 meters down the blood trail, the rescue party finds Kalle's right leg torn from his body just below the buttocks. A little further down the blood trail were the boy's clothes. The boy's mother finds more parts of her son and carries them tucked into her dress. The surrounding areas organize wolf hunts and increase bounties for wolves, but none of it is successful. The wolves escape all efforts to capture or kill them. About 3 months later, on April 23rd of 1880, near the village of Viikinen, 2.5-year-old Johanna Wieck is playing in the yard of her rural home. Her mother hears her yell, "Mama!" so her mother runs to see what's going on. Just outside the front door, she finds Johanna's severed foot. Her daughter and anything else are missing from her yard. Near the edge of her yard, she finds wolf tracks leading into the adjacent woods. The baby's body is never found. Her family held a memorial for her 2 days later. On the day of Johanna's memorial service, April 25th, 1880, 3 siblings are walking home from school. The 12-year-old brother picks his 5-year-old sister up and begins to run with her, but his 7-year-old sister lags behind slightly. They're very close to their home, and just as they're about to get to safety, a wolf snatches 7-year-old Maria Matilda in its jaws and runs toward the nearby woods. When the adults are alerted and they begin searching, they only find her shoe and her skirt. No sign, body parts, remnants, nor corpse of the little girl are ever discovered. The area around Turku is alerted and on guard for the appearance of the wolves. The very next day, and a few miles down the road, on April 26, 1880, 2.5-year-old Maria Helene goes outside to fill the water bucket from a spring near her home. After some time passes, her parents go searching for her and find only a few drops of blood and the discarded water bucket. The neighbors search for the little girl, but no trace of her is ever found. Residents of the area immediately suspect the rampaging wolves. For the next 3 weeks, there were no known or reported wolf fatalities, but on May 25th, events changed for the worse. The Valla Kids are playing in the front yard of their family cabin. The 3-year-old daughter, named Amanda, doesn't notice what the other kids described as a big dog approaching. The wolf bites the little girl by the neck and shakes her until she's dead. The other children run to get her mother and tell her that a big dog took her. A search party gathers, and the only thing they find are the little girl's intestines near her shoes, with her feet still inside. The regional government begins urging citizens to kill any wolf on sight. This leads to 6 wolf pups being killed by hunters and bounty hunters, but the child-killing wolf is still on the loose. Nearly 11 weeks later, on August 3rd of the same year, the village of Nihitula had a frightening occurrence. Two young girls were herding cattle along a remote road in the woods when a wolf appears from nowhere. As her friend is frozen in fear, 10-year-old Anna Lindbergh is savaged and killed by the wolf. Anna's friend runs away and escapes by herself. Events went quiet for almost 2 months, until October 6th of 1880. Near the village of Taatila, a wolf attacks 4-year-old Ida Tuominen. The wolf carries her body off a distance before the girl's father finds her and recovers her body for burial. The very next day, on October 7th of 1880, near Kovero village, 5.5-year-old Serafia Granforce was snatched from the woods near her home. The villagers search for her body for 2 days but are unable to find it. This attack was incredibly 43 miles from the prior day's attack. Near the village of Maajarvi, about a week later on October 15th, 5.5-year-old Polly Grunrus is playing in the forest a short distance from his mud hut he shares with his widowed mother. When he's returning to his hut, a large wolf appears and begins chasing him. The boy runs toward a narrow strip of land that crosses Maajarvi Lake, and that is where the wolf overtakes him and kills him. It drags his body away and consumes all but his foot and head, which are found later by searchers. About a week later, and near the village of Kirla, on October 22nd, 9-year-old Ida Lakso is leading a group of her classmates down the road as they walk home. A wolf suddenly appears and jumps over surrounding fences as it rapidly approaches the group of schoolchildren. It immediately focuses on Ida and bites her and drags her into a snowbank. It attempts to grab her by the neck and shake her to death the way it had previously done to other children. But Ida is wearing a very thick shawl. The wolf can't get a grip on her neck with its jaws. Ida reports that the wolf would press its ear to her chest during the attack to see if she was still breathing, apparently. If she moved or breathed, the wolf would start attacking her again. After a few times this happened, she decided to play dead. It was then that the wolf tried to drag her off into the forest. Ida's thick clothing presents such a problem for the wolf that it continually drops the girl. A man named Jane Makila scares the wolf off by yelling and hissing at it. The wolf is distracted and outnumbered and decides to run back into the woods. When Ida tries to stand up, she falls back to the ground. The wolf has broken her leg, so Yanni carries her back to her mother. Ida lives another 80 years and has scars on her face and body, along with her improperly healed leg, as a remembrance of the wolf attack. The local government in Torku decides to set poisons out to kill the wolves. They also hand out rifles and solicit the services of professional hunters to help eliminate the murderous wolves. Just 6 days after this incident, on October 28th, near the village of Kalenumi, over 33 miles away, 9-year-old Yuko Leiko is attacked but is not killed during the attack. He survives to describe the beast and spread his experience. There are no further wolf attacks for this year, but there have been 9 fatal wolf attacks on children in the prior year. Professional hunters pursue the wolves all winter long, but are outsmarted and unsuccessful. As it turns out, it is several months until another attack. On May 14, 1881, near the village of Kaitoinen, 6-year-old Johanni Wahatalo was helping with chores by chopping some wood near his family home. His mother glances out the window to see a wolf attacking him and immediately runs around to her son, but by the time she arrives, the wolf has carried off her young son. Neighbors form a rescue party and track the wolf several miles, but only to recover part of the boy's body. The young man's pants are found during the search. The next day on May 15th, 12 miles from the prior attack, and near a remote area called Kajarla, 4-year-old Mathilda Heikkila sneaks outside to play in the yard. She is immediately attacked and dragged into the woods. Only her skull is ever recovered. Around 3 weeks later, on June 10th, near Saksala village, 9-year-old Mauritius Lipewaha was told to get his horse from the meadow near the forest. A female wolf attacks the young man and quickly kills him. 2 men were in the area and scared the wolf off to recover the boy's body. They take his body back to his family. Almost 3 weeks after the last attack, on June 29th, near the village of Nihetula, 5-year-old Gustav Victor is enjoying a sauna with his daddy. His father just concluded a hard day's work and thought it would be fun to relax with the family in the sauna, so they went. Gustav, being the little man he was, couldn't handle the heat long and stepped out of the sauna. It is only about 25 yards back to the house, so he heads back by himself. Gustav doesn't make it the short distance home, and a search is launched for him. His body is discovered cached in a swamp for consumption later. Due to the close concentration of the attacks, villagers believe the wolves must have pups nearby to feed. Only a few weeks later, on July 15th, near the village of Paistenoha, 7-year-old Johan Vella was out in a field near his uncle's farm in the broad daylight at 6 p.m. His parents watch a wolf quickly run up to their son and attack him, then run back into the woods with him. They chase after their son and the wolf and soon find his foot, still inside his shoe. A search party later finds his body cached in a nearby swamp. Slightly over a week later, near the settlement of Karhalean, on July 22nd, 8-year-old Gustav Hardman heads out berry picking with his little brother. Right in front of his brother, a female wolf appears and attacks Gustav and kills him. She then drags his body away and caches it in the swamp, as before. Fortunately, his little brother is not injured and survives to pass on the tragedy to their parents. Only 10 days later, on July 31st, Lavamaki village, 2-year-old Konrad Aderman was playing in his yard. His older sisters and brothers are watching him from the window, and they witness a wolf coming toward their house from the road. The wolf hops the fence with ease and grabs Konrad in his jaws, and then jumps back over the fence with the young boy and disappears into the woods. Just 4 days later, on August 3rd, near Petsalo village, 8-year-old Matilda Savin is leading her family herd of cattle with her 10-year-old sister. They are going through a forest when a wolf suddenly attacks her and kills her. The wolf carries her body off and partially consumes the remains. Her father finds her remains. About 2 weeks later, on August 15th, near the village of Kajarla, 4-year-old Gustav Nummelin is being watched by his mother as he plays in the yard. She witnesses a wolf approach, attack, and kill her son, then leave with his body before she can do anything to stop it. A little over a mile away, after a 2-day search, rescuers find little Gustav's body cached by the wolf for later consumption. Almost a month later, on September 10th, near the village of Luta, 7-year-old Karl Forstrom is herding the family cattle. Karl sees a wolf approaching and tries to intimidate the wolf by climbing onto a large rock and waving his arms and yelling. The wolf approaches the boy and kills him. It then runs off with his body, which is later recovered, mangled, near the edge of the woods. Around 3 weeks later, on October 1st, near the village of Kukola, 8-year-old Karl Sentala defied his parents' orders to stay in the house while they were at work. He walks a short 60 yards to the well to get some drinking water. He never returns, and searchers later find his bloodied clothes and some of his bones. On October 6th, government officials meet to establish a committee to look into the wolf attacks. Nearly an entire month passes with no reported attacks, but on October 31st, near the village of Koyanmaki, 6-year-old Christina Johansson is returning home just after sunset. Her mother watches her approach the yard and enter the gate. Christina opens the door to the house and is attacked from behind by a wolf before she can enter. She is knocked to the ground and the wolf drags her into the woods. There were 2 pups waiting there, and they consumed much of Christina's body. Her incomplete remains were found later and brought back for burial. Just over 1 week later, on November 7th, near Ekaisten village, 5-year-old Karl Grunrus was playing with his friend on the family farm. A wolf suddenly appears and begins attacking the boys. Karl's friend squirms under a fence to safety, but Karl is attacked by the wolf and killed. The wolf runs off with his body and caches it in the water in a ditch just under a mile away. A hunting party was finally organized by the government, and professional hunters were planning a hunt for the wolves by November 19, 1881. They decided on a focused hunt commencing on December 10th. On January 2, 1882, a very large and old female wolf was killed. Her teeth are worn down, her coat was long and shaggy, and had faded to a yellow color. About 2 weeks later, on January 14th, a wolf believed to be her mate was killed by a local hunter. By the end of the wolf hunt, 12 wolves are killed in the area, but all attacks on humans have ended after this male and female were killed. The villagers kept the hides of the wolves to display them and warn others in the future of the dangers. Eventually, the artifacts were lost to history and forgotten. Over the next several decades, wolf eradication was made a priority in most of Scandinavia, and wolves were all but wiped out in Finland. In 1973, they became a protected species, and only reindeer ranchers in northern Finland were allowed to shoot them to protect their herds. Wolf numbers have slowly grown back to just over 250 individuals, but nowhere near what they were 100 years ago. Along with this recovery in numbers, reported incidents of wolves encroaching into cities or biting people are on the rise. Cases have gone from 0 for decades to about 1 per year now. Is this a harbinger of the fatal wolf attacks on Turku occurring again in Finland? Post your answers in the comments below. Why do you think the female wolf was attacking children? Was the government reacting quickly enough to the crisis? Was the female teaching a new hunting technique to her pups? Would that technique be passed on to future generations had they not been shot? Thank you for watching Scary Animal Attacks. Remember to like, share, and subscribe with notifications for future video release. And please be safe out there, because you do not want to end up on an episode of Scary Animal Attacks.